Unbelievable. So sticking with the starting rotation a little bit. So we're in a bit of an odd spot right now where things are still up in the air with Luiz Ortiz and if we'll get him back at some point this year. If you're managing the organization, like how much are you accounting for the possibility of an Ortiz return when you're looking through AAA innings or the guys you have as options or what you're going to do at the deadline?
So I think they would have been doing that regardless if he was here or not. Honestly, I truly feel like there's a good chance that he might not be here the rest of the year. So I think the contingency plans that go into effect, that'll also affect who and what they try to acquire at the trade deadline, if they sell or if they buy. That's going to be a big thing because that was a big loss. Don't get me wrong. Like, that guy's stuff is disgusting. And obviously, apparently too disgusting because he's he's got himself in a little bit of hot water. And obviously, I don't know anything about the situation other than what we all know. But we hope that nothing nefarious is going on. But it kind of looks hard to believe that at certain times, depending on who you ask. But yeah, I think there's always contingency plans no matter what. It would be the same thing if Tanner got hurt or Gavin got hurt, and heaven forbid, knock on wood, that doesn't happen. But I do think that comes into play, in particular now that we're towards the trade deadline. You could see them kind of pivot in, if they do decide they need something. Because the one thing people forget now, the trade deadline is different than it was 5 years ago. You don't have that August 31st deadline to where you can claim somebody on waivers, take on that salary. You have to do all your evil doing right here at January. Hopefully you do it before January. July 31st, because now you almost have to prepare for your contingency plans just in case somebody gets hurt.
Chris, what do you make out of this deadline? I think a lot of Guards fans are probably a little jarred reading Jeff Passan and seeing Kwan and Emmanuel Clase both in his top 10 players that could be available come the deadline. What do you make out of what they're going to do?
Do I think they would ever give up those two guys? Yes, I do. Now, it would have to be the most perfect package. And the good position that we're in as an organization is we don't have to give either one of those guys up. Right. So it's not like, we've got 3 years left of Kwan. We've got potentially 3 years left of Clase. That's extremely valuable on the open market. But at the same time, full well knowing it, if you set the bar as high as possibly you can, which is what the Guardians do, that's what they're known for anyway on the trade deadline. If a team doesn't come close to meeting it, you just shut down conversations and it's not a big deal. So, I know that's not a thing that we all want to talk about, but I could also see it being a possibility to where they do kind of buy and sell. Like I was telling you off air, I mean, I've had a couple of conversations with scouts about those two guys in particular and just their makeup, what these guys are about. And it's a scary conversation because you don't want to think about life, without those two guys in particular. And you can throw Cade Smith into that too. The value of those three guys right now is astronomically high. And just thinking about the return you potentially could get back for something like that it's tantalizing, but at the same point, you're trying to walk that fine line because those guys in the clubhouse are reading the same things that we're all reading. You know what I mean? And to their credit, they've come out of the gate. The second half, they've done exactly what they needed to do. They took the series against Oakland. Now it's a big series against Baltimore. Coming up starting today, you just have to continue to focus one game at a time and not get caught up in that. But don't get me wrong, those guys are reading that stuff too.
Dude, what's that like being in a big league clubhouse like around this time of year? Where these reports are out there.
This is the greatest thing ever. I mean, one of the best trade deadlines I ever had was two in a row. It was 2015 and 2016. 2015, I was in Texas, and I think we were 10.5 games out behind Houston, of all teams. And we ended up winning the division that year, which is insane to think about. So it's not out of the possibility that we can't do the same thing this year. But acquiring Cole Hamels, Jake Diekman, Sam Dyson, it was like, okay, like we're
going for it,
yeah. Like, holy crap.
Yeah.
But my favorite one was obviously 16 here. Back when I was my third stint here, we knew we were close, but that group in general hadn't really gotten over that mental hurdle yet of we know we're good, but can we really compete with the big dogs of the league? And then I'm not kidding you, there was the biggest celebration ever when we found out we got Andrew Miller. That was like, it was so out of the ordinary for our organization to go give up our top prospects to go get somebody. But the fact that they did that, everybody in our clubhouse was like, holy crap, man, like we're going to win the World Series right now. Like that's how we all thought.
And how much does that change a locker room's head when you do go out and make those moves and give out the prospects? Because when you're a guy who's on the roster, you might not necessarily give a crap about a 22-year-old who's supposed to be really good because your time to win a World Series is right now. Like, does that really move the needle that much? Like, do you think if we, not that we're going to do this, but if they came out and went, F it, and now you're gone and we're bringing in someone big to help out the lineup, right? Like, would that be like hey, are we in this now?
Absolutely. And I'm telling you, you can send subliminal messages to the clubhouse without actually having those conversations with guys. Wow. You know, just certain things that are out in the media, they're out there for a reason. You know, in regards to the organization, Jeff, like Passan and all the other guys, like they're doing their own due diligence and trying to find things out, you know, any way they can. But anything that's thrown out there from the organization standpoint is kind of for a reason, to be honest with you. But it can absolutely reinvigorate you, or like in 2009 when we traded Victor, the year before that we traded CeCe, it was like we knew we were done. Like,
yeah.